memorizing lyrics for 24, 25 different songs every 2 weeks is not something that's necessarily easy. So I put them all in the same room and I said, let's learn some songs together. And then from there, it just took off. Performing for 10 people or 500 people, it's all the same to us because we're going out there and we're putting it all on the line. And we're going to have just as much fun with that 10 people as we would with 500 people. It's all the same to us.
What is going on, guys? Today I am bringing you the full-length interview of Bryce. Bryce is the singer who was in the last episode when I was talking about the creative industry, talking about my life, and talking to all these other different creatives. And so the reason why I wanted to bring forward his full-length episode or full-length interview is because he has a lot of great advice. He's a really rock-solid guy, and he's also singing in New York City. So he's crushing it. He's doing a lot of great stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Why do you love being in the creative industry and what got you into it?
Well, first I want to start off with saying thank you for the kind words and thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share anything that I can that's helpful. Honestly, it's just always been in my blood since I was young. My grandfather was a trumpet player for the U.S. Army.
Oh, wow.
And it stems way back, farther than I even know, with that side of my dad's family. And my mom's family, also a bunch of musicians. Not directly my parents, but it skipped a couple generations. And I've always been interested in it. When I was in 4th grade, I came home from school with the pamphlet to sign up for which instrument you wanted to take. And I loved the trumpet. I wanted to do it. It was the loudest instrument. So that was my first go around. And I did that from 4th grade all the way until college.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Concurrently, yeah, a long time. And concurrently with all of that, I did theater. So I was doing chorus, theater, and band from 4th grade up until probably right about college is when I started to focus only on the instruments. What necessarily got me into the performing aspect of it, because up until then, it was more like recitals for families and friends, nothing too large scale or crazy. What got me into it was in college. That's when I saw an opportunity for a little bit more high pressure, high stakes, and a really good time, honestly. So going into there, I played hockey, and one of the goalies on the hockey team, he was a drummer in a band, and they performed at one of the small local bars. In my first 2 weeks, I went to go see him, and I was infatuated by the idea. So
okay,
naturally, a year passed. It was sophomore year. I'd really been fine-tuning on my music skills at that point. I'd been playing the piano a lot and really focusing on my singing and how to make it sound better without really taking lessons or anything. It was more just what kind of sounded right. Mm-hmm. I had been friends with a bunch of people at the time who I would go individually with and try to sharpen my skills and just jam. We call it jamming. At one point I said to myself, why am I doing this all individually with these people? I want to see what happens when I can put them all in the same room. So one night I invited all of them to the band room in the basement of one of the buildings. It had a drum kit, a baby grand piano, a couple amps and speakers. And it had everything you needed to put a band together, and it was the perfect timing for it. So I put them all in the same room, and I said, let's learn some songs together. And then from there, it just took off. Started booking gigs at the bars around school, grew in popularity around the school to the point where we could draw a crowd to places in the city. And that's right about where we're at right now.
That's pretty awesome. And I'm really happy for you. And one thing that's really unique about you, because, like I told you how when I was doing that photo shoot for you, or when I was not photo shoot, when I was actually shooting you, I said, I want to make sure you're level headed. I want to make sure that you're, in your happy space and whenever you're, when you're doing your thing, so that way nothing distracts you. So, and it got me thinking and got me correlating to this interview, and which leads me to question 2 is that how do you prepare for a show mentally? Is it just mentally, or do you do something emotionally, physically? What gets you in the proper mindset so that way you can crush it when you're on stage, when you're in front of all those people?
I won't sit here and pretend like I've always been fully in the right headspace for a show. I have had a couple shows where I felt very underprepared and not in a good headspace at all, to the point where my band members have really had to pull me out of my head like minutes before being on stage. It's repetition, honestly. Everything has to do with repetition. Feeling comfortable enough with the lyrics, memorizing lyrics for 24, 25 different songs every 2 weeks is not something that's necessarily easy. In the past 6 months, we lost our piano player because he started writing music on his own. So I had to fill in on the piano as well. So not only learning 24 to 25 songs with their lyrics, I have to learn their chords and their different instrumental parts for the piano, and sometimes I'll throw a harmonica in there. Things that I'm comfortable with. It would be more of me practicing things that I like to do. So for example, it's not always practicing. But once I get to the point of being comfortable with the lyrics and the chords of the songs that we're performing, I'll find myself sitting alone with a piano in like an echoey room, turn all the lights off, and start to play through a couple songs that I truly enjoy playing. Not because I have to put on a show, more of because I like how they sound. I like how the echoes are coming back to me, and that's where I'll find myself in like a happy place, I guess you could say. And that usually calms me down right before a show.
Nice. Okay, I really like that. I like that a lot. And so within this time that you have, you've got your band members, you practiced, you're doing things, and when there are low moments within pursuing this path, how do you cope with that? Like, do you journal? Do you work out? Do you hang out with friends and family? Like, what helps you keep yourself on the path, or for however long you want to be on this path? Like, what helps you manage things?
Well, for me personally, I have a lot to do with the morale of the band and how the band operates. Considering how I put it together. So since then, I've been operating in a more high-pressure role, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think about how to make things better for everyone else and keep the vibes good in the band first, and then I'll worry about my own issues after. Obviously, health and fitness is something that I prioritize. It keeps me sane in the moments where I need to have that little reinforcement, eating well, lifting, doing cardio, all those things are very important to me because, again, I'm also doing hockey at the same time as all of this. So I need to also keep up with my physical aspect.
Like you've kind of touched on it a little bit, like how it sounds like your crew members help you out a lot in terms of keeping you on the straight and narrow. So that way when it comes to, making sure that you're able to perform. And so that's great. Like community is really important. You have got your friends, you have an incredible mom, you have an incredible dad, you work out, and that's really good. And so, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It seemed like you answered it. Yeah, you got it. Do you do any journaling at all, or are there ever moments where like you have to like write things down? Like, okay, I gotta take care of this. Like, I gotta write this down because this has got to get out of my head or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I spend a lot of time with my thoughts, obviously, and that's something that is a benefit and can also be my biggest detriment because I'll have an idea and I'll forget it. So something that I typically do is, I wouldn't call it journaling. I would say more of like, almost like a to-do list. So like I'll grab a piece of paper and if I have an idea or a chord progression in mind, I'll just jot it down, something that I'll remember so that when I go back to it, I can just be like, oh, okay, like this is something good. Or another good thing for me is like voice memos on your phone. That's super helpful. And I don't necessarily need to write things down all the time, like chord progressions. It's more of like just having an audio recording of it. So I can just listen back and be like, oh, okay, like that's an A minor to a D. Like, okay, that's something that's like super helpful.
Very nice, very nice. So, and actually, the fifth question actually touches upon what we just talked about, but there's an important aspect that I'd like to ask you that really I think about a lot because I don't want to lead to my destruction when it comes to working within the creative industry because it's so important to not have this get in the way. But how do you manage not having an ego? So for me, like if I were you, definitely read this book, and I've sent it to one of my photography friends, and it's reading the book "Ego is the Enemy" by Ryan Holiday, because it is such a fantastic book and really keeps things in mind when having a level head. Because I know that because when I'm managing my productions, like it's just business or Lost Fortune or the things that I'm currently working on, it's really important that I'm keeping things all dialed in. So I'm not belligerent to my DP or my AD or my other actors and actresses. Like, and when maybe I'm a little frustrated about how an actress is not doing something right, I have to really try and ask her like 5 times, like, can you try it this way? Can you try it that way? And it's not always my fault, but how do you manage your ego? How do you manage making sure you have a level head?
There's always going to be someone who's better. Like that's always the case. Ooh. There will always be someone better than your talents, your skills, and it's okay to be good at things and know that you're good at things, because self-awareness is important. Being overzealous and being overconfident, that's where, like you said, things don't go well after that. Ego is typically what makes a lot of people fall when they're thriving. For me, I recognize that there are a lot of people out there that are much more talented than me, and there's so much for me to learn. Learning is something that I will never stop doing. Recently, I sat down. There's this piano, this figurative piano that I keep talking about. It's on the 3rd floor of one of the buildings at my university, and I go visit every once in a while. And I'll go up there. It's this big hollow room with wood panels on the walls and a beautiful floor-to-ceiling window that you can just look out over the campus. And what I do is I will turn all the lights off. I like it at nighttime a little bit better, or sunrise and sunset. Like, that's my favorite times to go. I'll just sit there, just learn about whatever I can with music. And even if that's playing the same 4 chords over and over again, the point I'm trying to make is, recently I put myself into a zone where there's no ego to be allowed. You can't even let it seep in when you are trying to just learn to become better, even if it takes time of going back to the basic rudiments of playing the same 4 chords in different tonalities and different inversions and all the different arpeggiations that you can do. It's wonderful. It really is. So there really is no room for ego with me, unfortunately. I'm sorry if that doesn't really answer.
No. Look, you did a great job. And in all honesty, that's perfect. Like, it sounds like it's a combination of repetition mentality and also putting yourself in a environment where you are reminded that there is more to learn, and you're constantly remaining a student, which is it's a very, very, very valid answer. And honestly, it's something that Ryan Holiday emphasizes on in his book, Ego is the Enemy. And, it's, you already have, it already seems like you have this, and you're continuously working on it, this mentality of continuously remaining a student and reminding yourself with this cognitive behavioral therapy where you remind yourself, like, I'm not the best and I still have to learn, and there's more to learn. So that's really great. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. It's a great answer. And just don't ever stop, continue to do it, So yeah, I love that. It's absolutely fantastic. What is something you discovered about yourself when it comes to being a singer and performing? Was there something that you had, you came to this realization, like, oh my gosh, wow, now that I'm doing all this stuff, like I have to do that too. I have to do this. Like, this is new territory for me. Like, how do I cope with this? How do I manage it? What was something you discovered about yourself?
I think early on, the biggest thing that I discovered was that I didn't necessarily believe it at the time, but over time I started to figure it out, and people would tell me, and I would just be like, oh, okay. I didn't know that I could control a crowd the way that I do. That's something that I definitely learned. I always thought of it as just me talking to people and putting on a show. Like, the show has to go on. It's going to flow through. You're going to hit through all of your hit points, or you're not. But you're still going to go from point A to point B. So I think that's something that I definitely learned about myself. And I also learned that in the moments, this is the biggest one, honestly, in the moments that I am the most in my head and not confident about my abilities or my memorization skills, I have found myself to push through and do it to the point where it was never really an issue from the start. And that was something that my band members helped me realize. In particular, one of them, his name is Sam. He's the one who was the piano player. I was very close with him. He's now making music on his own. But anyway, Sam really pulled me out of my head a lot of times and made me believe in the things that I do know, but am blocking out of my head. So that's a really important one for me. Just when you think that you don't know it, you really do.
Was there ever a moment where people said, "Oh, don't do this, Bryce. Why are you performing? Why are you getting all these guys together?" Was there ever a moment where people thought, like, don't do this, is ridiculous?
I don't think there was ever a moment where people would say, like, don't perform, or like, don't, like, why are you spending so much time doing this? I think it's more of like people just enjoy the product of the show, and it's like a good way to escape the pressures of the world. Music does that, and I don't ever really see a negative with music ever. You can obviously overdo it and get burnt out, but in terms of feedback towards situational concerts and saying, like, don't do this, I haven't really heard much. There'll obviously be people who are haters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't really heard of it or paid attention to it, to be honest with you. So it very well could have been said, but nothing that out of sight, out of mind.
So it seems like even if like there are people who are naysayers, the ones who don't really care for it, you think you're foolish and seems weird, it sounds like this is something that is meant for you, and it really means something to you in your soul, and it doesn't really matter what anyone else says. You're gonna do it because you enjoy it and it means something to you. It means something deep to your heart.
Yeah, definitely. So something that I always tell the guys, it's like one of our like key mottos that I always stress to them. It's like, just go out there and have fun. Like we're putting on a show for them, but we're also doing this for us. And at the end of the day, we're still going to go through it. We're still going to get to the end of the night, and it's going to be a great time. So when it comes to performing for 10 people or 500 people, it's all the same to us because we're going out there and we're putting it all on the line, and we're going to have just as much fun with that 10 people as we would with 500 people. It's all the same to us.
Heck yeah, I love it. And now we're leading to our last and final question. Who are the people that really inspire you when it comes to being in the creative industry? So is it a singer? Is it a family member? Is it someone, maybe one of your friends? Who is someone that you look to and like, God, I love how creative they are. I really like. I want to be able to step it up to that level. It keeps you going, keeps your mind moving, keeps your heart beating. Who is someone that you really admire?
I would say it's a combination of a bunch of people. Inspiration definitely doesn't just, for me, come from one person. It's all the famous artists like Bruno Mars and the famous bands like Queen. And I take a little bit of all of those, and individuals like Billy Joel, Ellen John. I'll take all of those little pieces and I'll just keep it in the back of my mind. But as for someone who's a little bit more tangible, his name is Sam Scriven. He's someone that I met early in college, and it was by chance. I am not a music theory person, nor am I technically sound in music. And I decided to take a music theory class, a very advanced one. And I was using it as an elective spot. Going into that, I was 2 weeks late to the class because it was such a last-minute decision. The professor still had acceptance for the class because it was only a 7-person class and not many people wanted to take it. So I ended up taking it. Sam was one of the people in there, and he helped me get through that class because my music theory knowledge is nowhere near the requirements for that class. I don't even know how I got in, to be honest. By the end of the semester, we had gone to see a symphony. Mm-hmm. For the class, and he took all 7 students. At the end of the night, it was like 11:30. We are walking back through campus, and we find out that both of us play the piano. And what we do is we walk into one of the buildings. We found a door that was just magically unlocked, which they always lock the doors after a certain time. We end up getting into this building, going to one of the pianos, and we played the piano for almost 4 hours. We left there at like 3 a.m. There was something special about that night and how meeting Sam really influenced me as a singer, a songwriter, a musician. Sam is one of the most talented people that I know today. He has extreme knowledge of music theory. His piano skills are phenomenal. He's a great singer, and he's writing music right now, right as he should be. He's the biggest inspiration for me to become better. He always has been. Some of my songs that I learned early on were songs that he had showed me in the practice room, is what we call it. Since then, I've obviously always looked up to Sam. I incorporated him in the band, and he was with us for 2.5 years. He still checks in on us. He's still doing his thing, but we miss him dearly. And he's still very, very influential in my life, even though we're not seeing each other just as much.
Heck yeah, man. I love it. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. This is really eye-opening to me. This is really interesting to me, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And I honestly would like to ask you if we could do another vlog. I'd like to do another interview or another vlog, and I'm trying to figure out I have an idea on what we can do. I'd like to bring Gia around. She's really sweet. She's on YouTube. She'll be you'll see her in this vlog. And I'd like to do another photo shoot with you if you'd like, completely on the house. So if you're down for that, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
What? That was awesome. That was great. That was solid. That was... What a guy. What a guy. That was a heck of an interview. All right. Hope you guys like that. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just click on this video right here. Click on it. Smash it. Hit it with a hammer. Click on it. Click on it. Click on it. Click on it. Click on it right now. Oh my goodness.